This is Mr. Shai, and I'm trying to give you a breakdown of kind of a how-to on how to complete essential class quote, better known as ECQs, and just for broad terms or kind of understanding, it's a reading and writing as well as critical thinking strategy that kind of lets me see, basically isolate your skills when you write. It lets me work on the claims. It lets me work on how you place evidence and then how you analyze and break things down. So with that being said, I kind of made a kind of a one-stop shop document for you. There are a lot of hyperlinks for you to take advantage of. As you can see here, as I scroll over, an ECQ lecture, it will take you, I'm not going to take you now, but you can see it'll take you to a couple places. The lecture that we've gone over during the year, it will also take you to the YouTube tutorial, a sample ECQ, which we'll get to in a second. Also, the P.I.E.C.E lecture and expectations. It'll take you to the rubric. It'll also take you to the ECQ comment guide, which are basically common errors that are found in ECQs. Now, in a nutshell, an ECQ is an 8 to 12 sentence paragraph. It is answering a prompt. It's the same prompt every time. However, you're looking at different material, you're reading different material over the course of the semester. So with that being said, we'll jump down to how to complete an ECQ and the format expectations, so everything's clear. And also, if you're not clear on something, please email me and let me know. I don't understand this. I don't understand what you're asking. Please don't sit there and be confused. That is definitely not what I want. So to be clear, students should be able to identify a theme, the message, and how is it conveyed. That's what you're answering in the paragraph, and it should be written in a piece paragraph. And I'll break it down for you here. And again, you will have access to this Google document at any time that you want to view it. So the point, you identify a theme, message, and how it's conveyed. And if you're still kind of like, well, what is he talking about? I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. So you basically ask yourself, how does the author use subjects or literary devices to convey said theme? And then the answer should be in a complex or compound complex sentence formula, which we'll also go over in class. You introduce your evidence. I'll give you an example. There's simple ways to do it. There's complex ways to do it. But you need to introduce your evidence. You need to have actual textual evidence from whatever book that we are reading as a class. And the evidence should be about 2 to 3 lines. Please don't copy and paste the whole page and put it in as your evidence. That is not what we're looking for. You need to cite the evidence in MLA format. We'll go over that when I show you the example. And then the explanation, basically the analysis, it's done in a format. It's called Say, Mean, Matter. It's just a way to organize your thoughts. And you say how your evidence supports your claim or your point. And then the mean is what your actual evidence means, how you interpret it. And then the matter is, why is it important or significant to the overall text? Don't summarize. It's not a summary of what happened. Again, you're breaking down, you're making a point, you're providing evidence, you're citing it, and then you're explaining it. So just know there's a specific format that I'm looking for, and it will help you organize your thoughts. And I'll show you an example in a second. Also, the submission and completion dates, they're going to be a bit skewed because we're doing remote learning, and these have been planned out. Obviously, we're not in school yet, so I waited a little while, but again, you'll have access to this document. They are typically due on, as you can see, Fridays or Sundays. It just depends on what class you're in. And they are due 11:59 through turnitin.com. So as I told you, this is a sample ECQ. So I modeled what I'm looking for. So if you jump here, this is the Old Man in the Sea. I believe juniors are going to actually read this the first quarter. It is about a old fisherman down on his luck. I won't give any spoilers away. So what I'm looking for, again, you're answering the question. You're identifying a theme, the message, and how is it conveyed. It's two parts to the prompt. So, as you can see here, although Santiago may appear to be a simple man down in his luck, the author, Hemingway, conveys a theme of having a will to survive as important in the face of defeat through his main character, Santiago. So you see, I answered what the theme was, and then I answered how the author conveyed it. So there's two parts. Most people forget, okay, well, how is it conveyed? They just, what's the theme? And then it kind of turns into a simple sentence instead of a complex or compound complex sentence. So just understand that. Also, you introduce the quote right here, and this is kind of a complex way to introduce the quote. I'm not expecting that the first time around. However, a simple way, one of the most simplest ways to introduce a quote is the author states. That's about as basic as you can get. However, I give you an example here. This is kind of how I give some background, basically background before I introduce the quote. So you have your P, I, E, C, I cite it, and then the explanation. And I color coded the explanation just because it's a visual. Say, the mean, the matter. Say is in green, the mean is in yellow, and the red is in matter. Excuse me, the matter is in red. So you can see that the majority of my paragraph, it's a pretty long paragraph, is in the analysis. So, or excuse me, explanation. Kind of go back and forth with that terminology. So again, here in the say portion, I'm saying how this evidence supports my point. In the mean, I'm interpreting this evidence that I've just used. And in the matter, I'm telling you why this evidence is significant, not only to the point, but to the book in general or the piece of text that we've just read. Also, a couple things that you should do. Don't write in first person. Don't write in second person. You should write in academic writing, you write in third person. You should also not write in contractions, using contractions. You should spell it out. For example, if you're scratching your head, there's my hairline. Whoa. Basically, contractions, it's very basic. Obviously, you contract the word. When you're writing for academic purposes, you want to be a little more formal. So it's for example, can't. You're used to spelling, C-A-N apostrophe T, can't. You want to spell it out, C-A-N-N-O-T. Whoa, cannot. Almost spelled that wrong. So kind of, if you see what I'm getting at, again, you want to use a formal tone. You want to write in third person. You want to use specific evidence. Again, don't just pull random evidence. Make sure your evidence matches your point. Because if it doesn't, it's going to make it hard in the explanation. Make sure everything matches up. And that, in a nutshell, is how you do an ECQ. Please use this document. It is hyperlinked with a lot of links to give you a guide, so nobody's confused. And also, if you still don't get it, please email me. Please reach out to me like, hey, Mr. Sai, I don't understand this. Please break it down for me. And I'd be happy to break it down. Okay?